Hello.
Hi.
What's going on, people?
Hi, how's it
I
going?
always say that, don't I?
Say, it's been 47 weeks, 46,
What?
47 weeks? No, 46 weeks.
This is number 46.
Yeah, so I'm sure they're used to you always saying that.
Well, what's going on, everybody? We are back again. It is us. We're the Williams. And this is my lovely wife, Ramona. My name is Wilbert, aka Will.
You got an AKA now?
And we're here with another edition of Love Unscripted. So we just want to say thank you for allowing us into your moment of time, wherever you are, taking the time to listen to our perspectives on different aspects of marriage and home. Things that, actually probably go on in a lot of households between couples, spouses, husbands, and wives.
I like to say it's our take on things that could happen, but just the way we deal with it, and like from our perspective, things that we've handled, and some things we haven't necessarily dealt with, but I guess it's kind of like, oh, this is probably how we would deal with it.
That's good, babe. So our title tonight is called Avoiding Pitfalls of a Divided Household.
Y'all know a secret? Sometimes I come in at the end of the title because I don't remember it right off bat. So I trust that my husband will not just come in and bam, meet him right there.
And she's always very good at, holding the topic down and so eloquent in the way she speaks. I appreciate it very, very much. Because I'm just country. I'm just, I'm just gonna give it like So avoiding pitfalls of a divided household. So you might ask, what do you mean by that? Well, there's numerous pitfalls, and they all start somewhere.
Yeah.
So how do you avoid that? Is what we're trying to give our perspective about.
Yes, and numerous ways to be divided. Like so many different areas in life in which you can be divided as a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you Google anything and ask, hey, what are the number one or top 10 reasons for divorce? I don't know all the top 10, but I'm sure money is one. I'm sure faith is one. I'm sure infidelity is one. I'm sure trust is one. Those.
Maybe even how to raise your kids. Maybe.
Oh, yeah. Disagreeing on how to raise your kids.
Or families. Or what about friends?
Yeah. Disagreeing on family, values, or what kind of friends you have. All those things are or could be pitfalls or have been pitfalls, and man, it doesn't make any sense to allow things that can be avoided cause your house to be divided.
Okay, you're about to go in, but before you go in, how can these things be avoided? How do we know they can be avoided?
All right. Well, let's start off with finances.
Okay.
How do you avoid having pitfalls concerning? I know it sounded technical, finances, but let's just say money. Money, right? So I would definitely say sit down and have a conversation on how money is going to be spent in the household. What is going to be, what the amount of income you. Well, first of all, do everything together. Okay?
Hey, you have your extra country on tonight. I don't know what is going on.
I'm just saying.
That's a great point.
I'm just saying, no separate anything. Y'all are no longer two. You're one.
You brought it in early tonight.
Yeah. So.
But you know what? So I think that's good, but practically, I don't know how I want to say that. It is easier said than done for some people.
That's true.
Because I think finances, if we wanted to just stay right there for a minute, comes with a whole bunch. And if it's something that you weren't used to handling or managing well as an individual, when you get together as a couple, it can be very, very difficult. So, I mean, I think it's great to, yes, sit down and have a conversation about it. But just in real life, one of the things that we have on our side for for our marriage is our ability to communicate. Right. That is just something that we have, but we know that is a struggle for some couples, and finances being on one accord takes communication.
And that's a good point on how to avoid that.
Yeah.
You've got to let go of your independency. Is that a word?
It is now.
Independency, meaning mine is mine, yours is yours. Yeah. Come on, I don't need you. I can do what I want to, when I want to, how I want to. It's my money. It's not your money. Oh, come on now. That right there is a mindset of division. You should do things together in agreement, and it should be cohesive. It should be where there's a game plan. And another thing is that game plan should also, how can I say, what's the word? Help me, Lord. Practice taking advantages of strengths and weaknesses of a couple. So the husband may be strong in finances. Wives, go with it. Wives may be stronger in finances. Husbands, go with it. Mm-hmm. There's no sense in going, well, you always doing this. Well, you always doing this. Come on.
Yeah, because that's where the division
That's where it starts.
In. And one of the things that you said, I was like, light bulb moment for me is mindset. Mm-hmm. I think being able to tackle the mindset, which also takes us back to you're no longer two, you're one.
You're one.
And so when you get to that point where there may be some division, then you go back to that thought process of, you know what, okay, yes, we both have two different ways of looking at it, but how can we tackle it as one? As if we are on one accord. And even if you have to fake being on one accord until you get there. What do I mean by that? Sometimes my husband does something and I'm not 100% there with him, but guess what? I will go with him trusting and believing in him leading where we are going. And I mean, that's just 100% honest. Sometimes I'm like, inside of me, but I know he has our best interest in mind. Mm-hmm. B, I'm going to trust him that if it does not turn out the way it's supposed to turn out, that because he's leading us, he's also going to work on the rectifying whatever that is.
That's a good point.
I can't remember, babe. Did we tell him about San Francisco?
I don't think we did.
Yeah, my husband took me to San Francisco.
Oh, Lord.
This year. So that's an inside joke. We Definitely. Did not go to San Francisco, but I really wanted to go. What were we going to do? We're going to the other side of town.
Right.
We're going to the other side of town, and I am trusting that my husband knows where we're going, the direction that we're supposed to be going in. And after driving for quite some time, he's like, "Hey, are we going in the right direction?" I'm trusting you.
Yep.
To get us to where we're supposed to go. And long story short, we were totally going in the wrong direction. And I'm not talking about for 5, 10, 15 minutes. I'm talking about for, quite some time. But I said all that to say, even though And there was a little bit in me is like, I don't know if it takes us this long to get to this location. Um, but being able to be on one accord in where we were going. And when we found out that we weren't going to where we thought we were going, but to San Francisco instead, I mean, because it felt like we were going that far, um, it took away what could have been a very, very tense moment, and we weren't divided.
That
So
was key.
yeah, that was key because we
Mm-hmm.
were able to continue and go on about our day.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it might sound like, oh, that's not really division, but it was me trusting and leading. And even when it didn't quite turn out the way I expected, I'm pretty sure the way he anticipated it either, I continue to trust him,
Mm-hmm.
and there wasn't division, and we had an amazing day,
It was fun.
yeah, after we went to San Francisco.
It was. Let's put it this way. It was so much fun that became a inside joke.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't like she was like, "Oh, you don't know what you're doing." Come on, like my wife said, get your mind right, get your mindset right.
He's being so tough tonight. Get your mind right.
You said it at first.
I didn't say it like that.
Okay,
though.
she didn't.
Get your mind right.
Right. Well, because one of the things that we don't, well, husbands and wives, you should do everything possible to avoid a moment of division. It
Yeah.
shouldn't. You should.
Yeah.
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 Even if it means submitting yourself, giving in for the sake of peace.
Mm-hmm.
Just to allow peace to remain, because peace it breeds communication,
Yeah.
it breeds understanding, it breeds forgiveness. But just badgering each other, don't do that. Please don't do that.
Yeah.
Work on one accord. That's, to me, is a great way to avoid pitfalls
Okay.
of a divided household. Another way.
So we have mindset and being on one accord. Okay.
Right. Another way to avoid it, a pitfall. Let's say, how you want to raise your child. That's another. That's a deep topic, because you might come from two different backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
One may say spank, one may say no spank.
Mm-hmm.
One may say punish, one may say no punish. But that's where you discuss it prior to discipline the child, or even at birth. Have that conversation. But come on.
Can we go back further than birth? Can we go back to before you even get together?
Well, that's true. You can have it before you get together.
Yeah.
So, because one thing I'm 100% sure of is you have those conversations beforehand, right? But when the child is there, then what? Is that still in play? Or does the real thought process reveal itself? Because I would tell you that parents parent the way they were parented. Does that make sense? Parents parent the way they were parented.
Yeah, in most cases.
In most cases.
Yeah.
In most cases. So that's again, get your mind right. Communicate. Talk about it. Not
Keep going. I just
not every child is the same. And sometimes you've got to come to some type of agreement to where, as parents, it's a united front. To the kid, it doesn't look like a household where the mother and father can't agree on what the punishment should be, or even punishing. And just a way two ways to avoid that conversation, because that does happen in households where the husband disciplines a certain way and the wife says, "Oh, you shouldn't have done that," or the wife disciplines a certain way and the husband goes, "Oh, you shouldn't have done that," and so now it becomes a back and forth. It's no longer about the child. I mean, come on. But what I would suggest doing is this: if that happens, don't do it in front of the child. Support the parent, Wife support the husband, husband support the wife if they initiate the discipline and don't allow the child to play the two. Because that happens too.
Yeah.
And so that's a divided household.
Yeah. And that's a big one because it you know, children, once they're in the picture, they are the picture, you know.
That's true.
And so that can cause a lot of friction. So we're talking about a mindset that doesn't allow you to be divided, being on one accord, being able to communicate. And as you were talking, what I thought about is, what if we aren't able to communicate? And then I thought back to whenever we started premarital counseling, one of the things that we were assigned to do as an assignment was to write down everything. It wasn't all of our assignments, but we had to write everything down, and we didn't talk about it. We actually came back together with the counselor and discussed these things. I can't remember if it was expectations or boundaries or something like that. So he wrote his list, I wrote my list, and then we came together with the counselor. So let's just say you don't have the ability to go to a counselor. That the thought came to mind, if the area of communication, verbal communication, is a struggle for you, but you know it would help in trying to close whatever that divide is, I think starting there, being able to just write down what is on your mind, write it down on paper, and then identify it. You know, you could end up looking at the the list that you come up with and realize, like, okay, this isn't much of a divide. It's not, you
That's
know,
good.
we have this whole list and it's only a couple things on this list that is dividing us in this area. So how can we tackle each one at a time? And what it may end up being is even situational. It could be that, okay, we know that this exists. When this moment comes, and when it does come up, you just to make a determination, this is how we're going to handle it, right? So it might not be that, you know, it comes up and you're like, okay, we're at each other's throats. Maybe what it is, okay, we already know that this is a divide area for us. The situation comes up, we decide that we table it until we have both unwind and we can sit down and, you know, whatever it is. But I guess almost coming up with a game plan for it, because I said earlier, I know communication is not a forte for all couples, even though it's necessary for all couples. It might not necessarily be a forte. That makes sense. Makes sense. Okay.
I understand. So avoiding the pitfalls, there's more than just what we've talked about.
Yeah.
You know, there's pitfalls of faith. You know, do you believe the same? You know, is one a believer and the other one's not? You know, those are pitfalls, because those kind of things are deep rooted.
Yeah.
And one may have been raised in church, one may not have, one may have gone to church on just the main holidays. You know, one may have been in church 20, 30 years. And, okay, well, yeah, 20, 30 years. And one may have been in 5 years.
Yeah.
Those kind of communications, because one may be more understanding of the knowledge of the Bible, and one may be just surface. You know, just go to church, hear the choir, hear the preacher, and go home and do nothing. But you have to make sure that as a couple, there is talk about that and find a common ground. And that common ground keeps you grounded together, no matter what the differences are, no matter if one is more, I guess, advanced in faith, advanced in finances, advanced in how you raise kids. find a common ground and work from there. And I believe that it will help you avoid so many pitfalls that cause division in households.
Yeah.
See this? That's a common ground. That's a common ground.
Yeah.
So find a common ground. Love's a common ground. Kindness is common ground. Communication is common ground. Forgiveness is a common ground.
Yeah.
Use them.
Yeah.
And build from there.
Mm-hmm.
Agreement is a common ground.
Yeah. You know, it's almost like when you're saying that, I'm thinking, find your sweet spot.
That's good.
What is the sweet spot in your relationship?
Yeah.
You know, that spot where everything can be chaotic around you, and you know, things just kind of topsy-turvy, but when you find that sweet spot in your relationship, like nothing else matters. It's just you and your spouse, and everything is good with the world because you're in that sweet spot. You know how you just want to be up under him or her, or you know, rubbing their feet or whatever it is that you do. Find that sweet spot and stay there, because there's no room for division, I think, in marriage. And I think the beautiful thing is there is a way around it. There is a workaround. And no matter how long you've been married, if it's been a short time or if it's been a long time, I firmly believe that there is a way for you and your spouse to be able to come together,
yes,
and get whatever the division might be, to close that gap and eventually close it to the point where nothing can get in between, you know, what you and your spouse, in between you and your spouse, and then what the purpose is that God has placed you together.
Yeah, you know, and I'm gonna finish with this. Avoid those pitfalls. If the energy is bad in how you guys are communicating, something's probably not right. And you've got to identify that. And then you've got to come to a common ground. You've got to utilize, what's that room?
The dialogue
room. The dialogue room. You know, find what connects you to, and make it a positive conversation that says, here's where we connect, here's where we agree, now let's build on it.
This is our sweet spot.
This is our sweet spot. You're no longer two, but you're one in the sweet spot.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, yes, find your sweet spot and find your love and hope and joy and abundance and, you know, whatever it is, rejuvenation, refreshing, whatever your marriage needs and desires and deserves.
So we say, hope to you all, blessings to you all. You're no longer two, but you're one. What?
All right, babe.
Yep. Love you guys.
Love you.
Take care.